The sell side has been providing equities and fixed income research to the buy side for as long as anyone can remember. This business hasn't really seen much innovation in the last 30 years. I'm joined by Indy Sarker from Analec to talk about where are we going with investment research in today's market. Indy, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Alex. I think you're spot on when you say that for 30 years, we haven't really seen any real innovation in this space. And I think the real challenge is how do you operate in an industry environment where the economics of the business is increasingly removed from the reality of the marketplace in terms of what people are willing to pay for this particular service.
When we talk about investment research, what exactly are we talking about, and how does the sell side right now sort of manage that business model?
Well, I mean, if you think about investment research, you're thinking an investment research team within a sell side or a broker dealership or an investment bank where you have senior analysts supported by various levels of junior analysts and research associates, and they effectively go and cover X number of corporates or companies within their sector. Generally, it's sectoral aligned in terms of coverage. The problem with this business model has been that the capacity for coverage at an individual level, no individual analyst is able to cover more than 8 to 10 stocks with any real level of authority or leadership. And given the high threshold costs of analysts and the business of research operations, you have a very high threshold in terms of cost base.
Is there any real differentiation, I mean, in today's marketplace between one sell side's sort of analysis or investment research and another? And given that this cost model is very expensive, if I've got only 8 individual equities I'm covering per analyst, I have to have, if I've got 200 or 300 individual assets I'm covering, that's a pretty expensive business. Is there still value in that business?
Well, that's a great question, and I think this is where strategically a lot of firms are grappling with this question. And the real challenge is when you think about direct cost of coverage, we estimate at Analec that a median broker in a Western economy or a high-cost center tends to spend close to $60,000 per annum on each individual company or asset that they cover. So if you're a broker that looks to cover 100-odd companies, you're looking at close to a $6 million wage bill or a cost bill,
and you can't
even before you started.
You can't get out of that. I mean, your clients expect, not only expect, they demand that coverage, even if that coverage doesn't provide a significant level of value. It is a mandatory service that you must provide.
Absolutely. I mean, the threshold to get onto a panel, on your customer side, which is effectively how you get paid, is enormous. The threshold is quite high. The real strategic challenge is when you've got a commission pool on the basis of which you get paid that is shrinking, you've got increased competition and lack of differentiation in terms of product. Really, you've got to focus on your cost base.
So what innovation is out there? I mean, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is, well, I can outsource it, but the thought is if I outsource this, that is basically giving the crown jewels away to somebody else to manage, and it doesn't seem like a very wise move.
You're right. I mean, whatever little attempts have been in the space, in the absence of any process innovation or technology innovation, it's really being to offshore jobs to low-cost centers, India and the Philippines and a few places. But the problem with that offshoring model is, one, there is a control issue in terms of what you regain. Secondly, there's a massive skill set issue in terms of what jobs you can outsource. So if you think about your investment research job from a standpoint of level 0 all the way to level 10, you almost effectively can't go beyond level 4, maximum level 5 in that outsourcing model. And even there, when you've got a strategic cost reduction challenge where you want to take your numbers down from $60,000 per company in coverage terms down to $30,000, $35,000, which is where your business becomes somewhat sustainable in the current operating environment, outsourcing in itself doesn't give you that commercial objective.
So then what else is available? Are there other platforms out there?
Well, one of the things that we've been focusing here in Analec is to marry smart investment analytics along with technology as a delivery mechanism to empower analysts and investment professionals on their desktop in ways that have never been done before. So when it comes to, take for instance, corporate financial modeling and valuation, our platform, Analec Model Viewer, delivers great value on your desktop to give you speed of decision making, transparency and granularity in your decision making, and it does that at a fractional cost model purely because we are leveraging technology but it's innovation where the consumer of this service has to think slightly out of the box when it comes to running their own research organization.
So does this platform basically take the whole process and move it to Analec's sort of cloud environment, or do they provide building blocks in which then I can then create my own sort of bespoke product using these building blocks to create some of my own identity and my own research?
That's the beauty about ModelViewer. The beauty about ModelViewer is it does not in any way mitigate or in any way take away your control of your process. It gives you the building blocks, as you rightly said, but the building blocks in a way where it takes away the resource intensity of your investment research process and gives you actionable analytics which you can then manipulate and run on your desktop to basically get to the outlook that you are comfortable with and then drive your research process on the back of that. So when you start to think about process innovation and technology, we're in discussions where firms are looking at almost doubling their coverage ratio at the analyst level, going from 8 to 10 companies to over a 3-year span, potentially looking to go
16 to 20.
16 to 20 companies, which is where you start to see the kind of cost competitiveness that you've got to get to.
And while doing that, these individual institutions are able to keep their sort of their own identity with the research. It is their research. They're not importing the research from somebody else. They're just taking the building blocks, the basic building blocks that everyone's going to have to use to create research, and then incorporating those into their own product.
Absolutely, completely. I mean, this is completely in their hands. We provide the framework. We provide the smart analytics, which really is, going all the way to level 9 and leaving level 10, which is where you customize it to your outlook and how you run or run your view on the company. So effectively, it's giving you massive power on your desktop and achieving, almost conflicting objectives where you've got quality and granularity, which you want to achieve as part of your process, and you want to meet your strategic cost reduction targets.
Well, it sounds like maybe it's time for innovation in this market, and the investment research marketplace is due for some good technology. Indy, I want to thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Alex. Appreciate it.